You can ask your questions just one question at a time. You can address your questions to Jeff Krause or President Hodges or Janet Copenhaver. So the first person that I have on my screen is Daniel Cruz. You want to go first, Daniel?
I can. I was still getting set up on my end. I was running behind, tardy like usual. Sorry, guys. So let's just, whoever wants to speak about this, I know I spoke with the president just a few days ago, just talk about the decision that was made today and, you know, getting past this and moving on with the future of PHCC.
Recording in progress.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who was able to join on such short notice. I will simply say how grateful we are at our institution for the leadership of the state board. This has been an important process for us. It allows us to look at some very important naming structures regarding buildings, the name of the campus, the name of rooms, mascot, and important conversations and decisions came out of this. We are absolutely delighted and thrilled with the decision of the state board for our name of our institution to transition to Patrick and Henry, with the and being the ampersand, which clearly designates that we are named for the two counties that we serve, Henry County and Patrick County. The faculty and staff, students, leadership, alumni have been deeply involved in this. Their opinions have been heard. The state board's conversations today were wonderfully engaging and professional and led us to this place, and we're deeply, deeply grateful. Jeff, is there anything you would like to say on behalf of the system regarding this? Jeff Krause.
Yeah, Dr. Hodges, thank you very much. I think Dr. Hodges has continued a longstanding tradition of this institution of good leadership. I think he represented the college and the board's wishes very effectively today. And I think they heard loud and clear the importance for the institution of retaining the names of the counties it serves. And I think their decision really reflects that. So appreciate the chance to be here and happy to answer any questions regarding what I saw today when the state board met and as they went through their process.
Thank you very much. Luis Romero, I believe you're next.
One of the biggest things that was talked about is how would this affect financially the community college?
Thank you, Luis, for that question. Any change is going to have a financial implication. We understand that. There were, however, will be significantly less financial implications with the addition of an ampersand than there would be to completely overhaul the name. We were prepared to take whatever direction the state board led us in. However, they have again allowed us to utilize the ampersand, which will drastically reduce the financial implications and the cost. That's important to us because there's some tremendous diversity, equity, and inclusion work and other initiatives that we are diving headlong into as we align with Opportunity 2027, the statewide strategic plan. And this allows us to dedicate resources to that while we also dedicate resources to inserting the ampersand into our name. I'll underscore one other thing. We've been given until December 31st, 2022 to bring this into full fruition. However, because the name change is not as steep as a complete overhaul, we don't believe at Patrick and Henry Community College that it will take us that long to complete this.
Great, thank you. Janet Copenhaver, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
We're just real glad that the board listened to us. It was done really well. I led a good group that stuck together the whole time. We never gave up. And it's just wonderful that we all worked together that well, and the state board listened to us, and we're glad to finally have it at an end.
And Amanda, if I may share one other thing, I want to underscore how much we appreciate our local board. The leadership of Janet Copenhaver has been just tremendous during this. The spirit of collegiality, civil discourse, has been refreshing to see, frankly. We saw it again today at the state board. And I, as the president, am deeply grateful for the way folks express their opinions, express their passions, express their desires, but remain civil and brought forward a conclusion that I think speaks to the integrity of the two counties that we serve at Patrick County and Henry County.
Thank you both. All right, next on my list is Lindsay Ward.
I am with Lindsay, actually. I didn't know it was that Lindsay. Is she not on here? Maybe she's not.
She may not have the ability to unmute, but if you want to go ahead and ask the question, that will work for her.
Okay. Well, about how long, because we've been following this for such a long time, how long has this discussion, I mean, you guys really, I feel like people were really passionate about it. I remember, Janet, you telling me that you went to school there. So, I mean, this meant a lot to a lot of people. How long exactly was the back and forth?
Well, it's important to understand that though it felt like a long time, the reality is it's just been a year. In July of last year, the state board sent forward a proclamation that requested that colleges examine both their names of their campuses as well as their buildings. Patrick Henry took that even further. Patrick and Henry took that even further. We examined classroom names. We examined our mascot. We examined anything that had a forward-facing name and made some changes that came out of that. The process of examining a name and perhaps putting forward recommendations for new names is not a short one. It is a process that needs due diligence. It needs good attention. It needs a thorough and exhaustive process. You'll note in the press releases that go out today from System Office, 3 colleges have brought that to fruition today. There are still 2 colleges who are working their way through that process. Both of them hope to have names that they bring forward at the October board meeting of the State College. So I'll underscore again, while it seems like it's a long process, and in many ways it has been, the length has allowed it to be thorough and allowed us to be accurate in making sure that we brought forward the representative voices from our community.
Thank you for that question. I have next on my list, Jacob at WSET.
I mean, I think Jacob may be with me. He's rolling on another end on a different computer than I am. So he's with me.
Okay,
but if I can ask a question just for him in his place, just a real quick one. I know we discussed the other day that this could be the word and or the ampersand. Do you guys have a plan to use one or the other, or are they going to be interchangeable?
The state board's recommendation was the insertion of the ampersand. So we will be Patrick and Henry Community College effective immediately. Again, we have some time to bring all of the infrastructure to that and to bear, but we begin, our name is now Patrick and Henry Community College, referenced by the inclusion of the ampersand between the words Patrick and Henry.
Okay, great. Next on my list is Thom Brewer.
Thank you. And Amanda, I don't know if you've sent out a press release yet or not, but if so, I haven't gotten it. If you could make sure we get that.
Yes, absolutely. I'm planning on hitting send as soon as this press release or this press conference is over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do have a question, though. I'm a little curious if the counties themselves are named after Patrick Henry. Isn't the community college still named after Patrick Henry, even if you're naming yourselves after the county?
So the question broke up just a little bit, but I think the question was referencing the fact that the counties are named after Patrick Henry, and to that extent, is the college still named after Patrick Henry? So I actually, if that's not the question, please interrupt me, and I'm happy to readdress. But I think that was it. So I don't want to give everyone too deep a history lesson, but we brought this forward to the state board as well. The Patrick Henry County was formed in 1777 as a single county, so named because Patrick Henry was the governor at the time of the state of Virginia. In 1791, those 2 counties separated and formed 2 different separate and distinct counties, Henry County on the eastern side, Patrick County on the western side. And for the last 230 years, they have been 2 distinct counties. For example, Henry County is one of 11 states, I believe, 10 or 11 states that has a Henry County in it. The attachment to Patrick Henry, the man, is almost non-existent in many ways. So when our college was created in 1962 as a branch campus of the University of Virginia, we were designated Patrick-Henry Community College, clearly designating in the minutes that created the institution that we were so named for the counties that we served. We believe that actually the recommendation that came forth today from the state board with the inclusion of the ampersand even highlights that further. It really underscores now that we are named for those two counties with the inclusion of that ampersand. So again, we're just delighted in this result.
Great, thank you for that question and that answer. Next on my list is Holly Kozelsky.
Oh, no questions. I have the background. Thank you.
All right, next on my list is Charles Rourke.
Hello, can y'all hear me okay? Okay. My question goes to Greg. Obviously, you're one of the first to that we see this kind of cancel culture going on across the country. Do you think this is just the beginning of this?
Well, I don't view this as cancel culture. I view this as our ability to more directly align with our service region. I think the request of the state board for us to examine naming across the platforms, whether it be the institution, whether it be the buildings. In our case, again, we took it further to examine the names of our classrooms or any forward-facing name to make sure it embraced diversity, equity, and inclusion is an important step for us, and it allowed us to really hone in on our mission. So I don't view this as cancel culture. And in fact, the state board in approving this, again, more, I think, accurately set forward a name that asks what we requested, which is that we're named for our counties. And so the inclusion of the ampersand allows that to be even more clear for those who may not live in our region.
Yeah, but we might have a round where they're not happy with Patrick or Henry.
Well, I can't speak to what might happen 5, 10, 20 years from now. I will simply say that what the state board has come up with today, I think, is the best of both worlds. It, again, allows us to have the important DEI work, but also allows us to clearly identify who our constituents is in Patrick County, who our constituents are in Patrick County and Henry County.
Do you know when we'll see a new logo?
We have a process that will drop very soon. We're going to pull together a task force. Again, all of that has to be done by December 31st of 2022. But thankfully, that will happen much sooner at Patrick and Henry Community College. My gut says that within the next 60 days, but we'll wait. I don't want to be too ostentatious on that, but it should not take us long to be able to move all of that forward.
I have one more question about the beginning of school in mass.
We have one more reporter who needs to ask his question before we have multiple questions. So Joe Dashiell at WDBJ7, if you can go ahead.
Great, thank you very much. Obviously, as Dr. Hodges has said, this is an important issue to resolve, but are you happy now to resolve it and be able to focus on other issues?
I'm so sorry. I lost the question. I lost it from, are you happy now to resolve?
Okay. I was just asking if now that—
Could I ask you to restate the question?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just asking that obviously this is an important issue to resolve, but now that it is resolved, are you happy to be able to move on and focus on other issues?
Well, certainly. We're happy that we've been able to bring this home, bring this to a resolution. But I will underscore that even while we were going through this process, in the middle of a global pandemic, we were still educating students. We were still giving credentials. We were still getting people out of poverty. Certainly, we're delighted that this is brought forward. We're excited about moving forward with this new identity, but what also preserves the name of the communities that we serve. We're delighted with the cooperation of our local board and the state board, excited to move ahead because we've got important work to do.
Great, thank you all. I think that I have reached all of the media that are on. If I have not, please unmute and let me know now if I've missed anyone who has not been able to ask a question. All right, so now we can go back through, and if you have more questions, if you will use the raise hand feature under the reactions, then I can call on you one at a time. Charles, I see that you are raising your hand. If you want to go ahead and ask your next question.
Basically, this is to the beginning of school with, we continue to hear different recommendations from the CDC and so forth about masks. Is the fall season going to be normal with masks, without masks? How is it going to go?
Well, normal has taken on new meaning, Charles, in this context. I don't think any of us know what normal looks like. We are continuing to follow guidance from the Virginia Department of Health, from the CDC, from the Virginia Community College system. If we were starting today, the answer might be different, but since classes don't begin for another month, it would be, in terms of fall, I think it would be premature for us to say what that's going to look like. I engaged or re-engaged our Safe Welcome Back Task Force that we utilized last year. They are producing the Welcome Back 2.0 document on July the 30th that will address many of these things. And so if you'll allow me to punt that, I'm going to wait till their recommendations of my task force comes out. And again, this changes daily, so I would not wager to tell you what it's going to look like in another month.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions? I don't see anybody raising their hands, but now is a great time to ask questions if you have them. And again, remember that we do have Jeff Krause representing the system office and Janet Copenhaver if you have any questions directly for either of them.
I don't know how to do this.
Okay, so I saw Luis Ramirez, you raised your hand first.
I know this may be a little early to determine, but will you all be having an entire different logo, or are you guys trying to keep the same, just with some added, of course, the added word on there?
Again, I'm going to ask your patience and indulgence on that. We'll have a group that will come together and examine this and look at it. I don't want to be premature. The decision is, about an hour and a half old. So right now would be around.
Was that breaking up for anyone else?
Yes. Could you repeat the answer?
Certainly. I simply said, stay tuned. The decision is about an hour and a half old. So we will certainly have a new logo because we have a new name. But we're not prepared to send that out yet. Again, 90 minutes away from the decision. Those decisions about new logo, new branding, et cetera, have not been made, but they will be forthcoming shortly.
I believe I saw Kortney Lockey, you're next.
Okay, sorry, I don't know how to do the feature, so I just actually raised my hand. I know that you had mentioned, and maybe you can't speak to this too much, but you had mentioned that some other colleges were working on it. I don't know if you could answer the question. I know Dabney was one that we were kind of following early too. I don't know if you are able to speak to them or no. You had mentioned other colleges, so.
I'm going to defer to system office on this. Mr. Krause, if you will take that, I would be very grateful.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Hodges. Kortney, yes, today the state board approved new names for two institutions. Lord Fairfax Community College will become Laurel Ridge Community College. And in the Richmond area, John Tyler Community College will become Bright Point Community College. They also approved a recommendation from the local advisory board of Dabney S. Lancaster Community College to change that institution's name. They will return in the fall with what their proposed new name is. We also got a progress report on Thomas Nelson Community College on the Virginia Peninsula. They were approved at the last meeting to change their name as well. They are in process, and they too will be bringing back their recommendation for a new name in the fall.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Alrighty, I believe Joe DeShale, I saw your hand raised next. Joe, are you still with us? Alrighty, did anyone else have any other questions?
This is Joe DeShale. I'm sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I had a similar question for Jeff. Perhaps he could speak to how important the board felt this process was moving forward to address the names of these community colleges and the changes that we're seeing now.
Joe, thank you very much. I appreciate the question. I think the board believes this was very important to really signal our values of diversity, inclusion, and equity as we move forward. At the end of the day, we know that Virginia doesn't have a person to spare. We need everyone in the Commonwealth to be as educated as they can possibly be, to have the best careers that they can possibly have, to be in a great position to support themselves and their families and contribute to the community. So the board feels very, very passionately that if there is anything about our identity, if there's anything about our naming, if there's anything about the way we present ourselves that dissuades a single person to come to a community college and take advantage of the amazing opportunities we offer, then that's a bad thing. So that's what the board has been after in this process. And I think that they're very satisfied with the progress where we are right now, and looking forward to concluding with the institutions that are still in their process. But this has really worked. It's been a partnership with the local presidents and the local boards. And they've, like here at Patrick and Henry Community College, they've done great work digging into their past and digging into the experiences and everything surrounding their name and identity. So the board does feel it's a very important issue, and I think they're satisfied with where we are.
Thank you.
Righty. Do we have another question from the media? Don't see any more hands raised. So actually, Louise, did you have your hand raised? Okay, yeah, you have the floor.
My last question is going to be for Dr. Hodges. I know that the college emphasized time and time again that this was left up, the final say was left up to the system, but why was it important to get feedback from the community when you guys were going through this process?
Certainly. The naming authority per Virginia Community College policy lies squarely within the state board. So it is the give and take between our local board and the state board was absolutely essential. We kept, on behalf of our local board chair, I commend her. She kept the state board fully informed of the progress as it happened from the beginning of July of last year, all the way through letters that were sent as recently as a couple of days ago to continue to update our state board. The state board appreciated the feedback of our local board and the constituencies that we serve. And again, I know I keep saying this, but they underscored the reality. As we've said many times, we are this community's college, the only college in Virginia named for the two counties we serve. And now that is clearer than ever with our name, Patrick and Henry.
Great. Do we have any more questions? All right. Seeing none, I think that we can wrap up the press conference. Thank you all so much for joining us, and a special thank you to Jeff Krause and Janet Copenhaver, and of course, President Hodges. If you do have any other questions, you can email me, and I'm happy to do what I can to facilitate any meetings. As I said in my email, I know that President Hodges will be unavailable until tomorrow, but I will see what I can do. And like I said, I will be sending that press release out to you all ASAP. So thank you again for joining us, and thank you for our VIPs for fielding these questions. You guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.